What is up, everyone? Adam Gelman. We have another super show on our hands, and I cannot be more excited to get this panel back together. The last time we were all talking about The Rock and the big sale that happened there, but this is just as big of a subject, I think, for all of us. I'm so happy to have all of these guys on. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves one more time. We are probably all over this channel enough. You know who we are, but we'll start with the OG himself. Tony, how's it going, my man?
Who's that? Oh, I thought I was. Oh, sorry. I used to be in Hall of Fames. I'm not anymore. But
right.
Yeah, I'm Tony with WrestlingTradingCards.com.
How's it going, sir? Paul?
Going
good. Paul, Wrestling Card Price Guide.
And my main man, Ryan. How's it going, sir?
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Ryan at Non-Sports Showcase on Instagram.
Yeah. So really excited to talk about the national convention today. It's a subject that I'm not sure if every wrestling collector's all that familiar with. Like, I think you guys made it a first time sort of main stage a thing last year. But if you had to sort of couch the national convention for people who may not know what it is, how do you guys sort of think about it? Paul, like, if you had to think about the national convention in an elevator speech, what are you using for your frame of reference here?
If you're in the hobby, to any degree, small or large, and not just trading cards, like sports memorabilia, collectibles, meet the soup Nazi behind a curtain, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The scope of it is magnificent. It's just a huge show. It's one of the biggest conventions in general, never mind our world. And you got to go. Like we have one up here called Sport Expo that is quite large, by all standards. And I go regularly, and I've become friendly over the years with guys to just see me every time asking about wrestling. And, it's different now, though. But the national is just a whole other thing. And we made an experience last year, like Tony and I sort of met at the airport, and we were sort of hitched together right until we took off again at the other.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and
that was the first time we actually met in the entire 20+ years we've known each other.
Right, and Chuck was a big part of that too. The three of us getting to hang out.
Oh my God!
And then it's like when I took my wife the first time to Times Square in New York City, and her eyes just lit up. That was what Chuck was like when we took him into the room.
That's right.
You could just see as far as the eye could see. Just rows and rows and rows and rows, and here's a Joe Montana helmet, an actual helmet, and then there's this, and then there, and then we're looking at wrestling stuff, and like, where do we start? And I remember Tony had to go running to get something graded, which you smartly did right off the top, because
the line gets
to that area again. And
I did that.
I met Ryan that first night, who was wheeling his body around, and then we went for dinner the next night. So for me, it was. I'd been to National before, but it was the first time that Tony and I said, you know what, let's see if we can't get our faces
together
in front of somebody and talk about wrestling cards, see if anybody takes us seriously. And we did it,
That's awesome.
And again, credit to Tony and Chuck. The three of us sort of put our heads together and got ourselves onto the main stage. And we also arranged a little dinner afterwards, which is sort of, gave us the idea, well, it'd be nice to do this on an annual basis to get to see these familiar faces.
Yeah.
More guys in the hobby to come. So it's just a great experience for everybody.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about the times that I've been. I've been 4 or 5 times. I think Ryan and I have met up at a number of these before. I mean, the Nationals is an experience, right? It's like WrestleMania. You got to go at least once. And I think, like, after you go and after you experience this and after you see everything coming together, it becomes like, kind of a memory that you have in the hobby, and it's really awesome. Tony, when what was the last time you went to the National last year? Was that your first time going to the show, or had you been before?
I worked that event when it's last in Anaheim, California.
Oh, wow. Okay, awesome.
At that time, I ended up working a table with Lori Petty. I had brought her to the show because she was there with the surviving members of the women's baseball leagues like that, and signing autographs. And God, I really wish back then I would have gone up and gobbled up all the wrestling cards I saw then.
Yeah.
But I didn't, I'm like, I got that. I don't need it, but I should have hoarded. Am I allowed to use that word? Hoard? Spicy. So yeah, I mean, that was my second time going. So it is an experience. It's way different than what the first time I went, because the first time I went was from a working standpoint.
Sure,
this one I went as a collector to kind of absorb everything, to finally meet Paul in person, to get to hang out with Chuckster again, like that, which was only the second time I ever got to hang out with Chuckster. And having the three of us, having been doing this for, over 20 years plus, it was just an experience for us three. Had it just been that, had it only just
That
been
would have been enough.
the three of us, it would have been enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But then
You go
but
for
then
the
to have
people.
yeah, but then you have the dinner, you get to end up meeting people like Ryan, you get to end up meeting Caleb, you get to end up meeting, all these people that we know, through social media. And, over the last 2 years, gotten to have them on as guests for the podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
But to meet them in person and then to, have like-minded individuals who collect what you collect is just that it's the experience
incredible.
of being around other people.
Yeah. I
Just
think that's
imagine being at a table, Adam, with a bunch of guys, and all you're doing all night is drinking and talking wrestling cards, and everybody
think
knows
of
what
anything
everyone's
better?
talking about.
Can you think of
You're not in
anything
your own
better?
you're not in your own little world. Now you can sort of say something, and right
Yeah.
away, Ryan knows, Brancato knows, Chuck knows, everybody knows.
Yeah.
That was the fun thing for me.
Yeah, and when Ryan and I have met up at a couple of these before too, and I think that's always the best part of it is the people. I mean, like with eBay and with check out my cards and all, like you can find what you want pretty much wherever you need, unless you're looking for
Sure.
something really obscure. So like the show element of this tends to be secondary to meeting up on social media, because social media has become such a gigantic part of experience of trading cards and sports cards, especially wrestling cards, which has a vibrant community of individuals. So Ryan, when you have gone to the show, what has been your experience? Because you approach it a little bit differently. I know you like to get a lot of the redemptions. You like to get a lot of the rapper redemption stuff, all of the different stuff that goes along with experiencing the show. How has your experience been a little bit different?
Well, last year was my 20th show. My first one was 98 in Chicago, Cleveland, Chicago, I think. Anyway, and then I went 2002 to 2014. I missed 2015, and then 2016 to now. And that's what I used to do. I used to go and open a bunch of wax, get the rapper redemptions. They used to be pretty lenient with the packs. I mean, they'd say you get 3, but they give you like 8. And there was a time where you could not only pay for your trip, pay for the wax you opened, and you make a profit. So you literally could go on a trip for a week for free, have everything paid for, make some money, and have a great time. Now, with the rising cost of the products and the lowering of the
content.
The content and the prizes they give out, I haven't done that for a couple of years now. There's no reason to do it for money. If you want to do it for fun, absolutely, have a great time. But doing it in bulk like we did for money to make a profit is no longer a viable stream. So really, I got to the point where I was really jaded. Like I was going just to go. I kind of felt like Cal Ripken. I gotta keep it.
Ryan? Didn't you do your Jordan deal at a national? Or was that
I did,
else?
yeah. That was 2018.
Yeah.
That was 2018.
Yeah.
Before I got my Jordan.
Yeah. So they can work out.
Yeah,
just a little.
Every once in a great while they do work out, but what you see is you walk in and you say, okay, there's the guy who has the 5 LeBron exquisite rookies. There's the guy who has the 10 Derek Jeter PSA 10s, and you see the same people over and over again. But I tell you what, after last year, it really invigorated my want to go to the show. Like now it's about seeing people. There's so many friends I've made through the wrestling hobby that now I want to go. Like for the first time, I'm actually excited to go. I'm really excited to go, and I'm taking a couple friends from Arizona who have never been to one, so that'll be a good time. Yeah, it'll be their first time, and what everybody's saying is true. It's take any show you've been to and like multiply it by 1 million. I mean, and just people and the distributors.
And this year actually is slated to be the biggest one ever. You would think that over the boom that they would be bigger, but everybody in the national convention believes that this is the year that it will break all the records because of all the interest they've had and stuff like that. Even though things have kind of like taken a turn for the worse overall, they think this is going to be one of the best and biggest ones ever.
I would agree. And it's funny you mentioned that, because up until the IX Center in Cleveland closed, that was always one of the main locations for that show, was the IX Center in Cleveland. And in the IX Center, they have a Ferris wheel, a honest to God working Ferris wheel that you can get in and ride during the show. And when you'd walk in, the Ferris wheel is kind of in the middle of the floor plan. And every year from like 2008, 10, 12, because every other year, they had a fake wall that would basically branch off the show. And every 2 years, that wall got closer and closer to that Ferris wheel, meaning they didn't have the dealers. I mean, the show is getting smaller. And now we're at a point where it's insane, and it's too much to take in 2 days. You really should do 3 or 4. And if you've never been, you need to go at least once. That's what I say. You need to go at least once.
So Paul, Paul and Tony, because you guys were instrumental in the wrestling card sort of panel last year. I wanted to sort of give you guys a chance to sort of walk through what happened there, because I think that was such a key point in bringing wrestling cards to the forefront of the hobby discussion. And I think you guys did such a tremendous job with that. It was broadcast across so many different social media channels because we were all sort of eager to see how it went down. I think you guys did so many good things with that panel. Talk a little bit about your experience last year, and then maybe touch on what you're planning on doing this year.
Yeah, thanks, man. Like it was a bit of touch and go, because up until the last couple of weeks, we didn't know if we were going to be on that panel or not. And only because it was, nothing to do with us, I don't think, but just the organization is so huge now, and they have so much demand and so many other groups wanting to be a part of this thing. And they were still trying to figure out the logistics of it, because this was last year, the panel was part of the Ripping Wax display, which was part of the Go GTS. They were filming it. So there was different people I was talking to, but finally we locked in on a time. And when Tony and I landed, first thing we did was we beelined it to that main stage to find somebody to introduce ourselves, get the lay of the land, and say, okay, we're slated for this time tomorrow. And they were very nice, Tony, if you recall. And Tony looked after the making sure of it getting filmed. We had Nick there with a stand and a cell phone, but Tony was good to liaise with the guys that were filming it at the time to get them to do a video for us after the fact. And then, of course, we were lucky that we had the guys from Long Island there. The Card Foundation guys were on site, so we were able to get them onto the panel. Of course, Chuck was with us, and Caleb came. So we had the makings of a great panel. And
it was somebody from everywhere, right? You had somebody from
every. It's going to be the same thing. Yeah. This year, it's going to be the 4 of us plus a few new faces. But it was just a cool thing, because it was the first time ever that anybody in a public way was talking about wrestling cards at that show.
So cool. Yeah, and I think that was so well done, just getting somebody from every walk of the wrestling card hobby, because I know we all get into our battles and we all sort of, posture and do our thing, but to see you guys all have somebody from indie cards, you have somebody from, who collects sets, and somebody who collects modern stuff, and the Card Foundation guys, but also the vintage stuff and everything else. It was very well done and well attended too. So I hope this year, when, if and when this happens, once we get confirmation on everything, I think that will be definitely a destination for wrestling cards at the show. And I think that was really it. Tony, did you have anything that you wanted to add there? Because I know you were a huge part of it as well.
No, I just signed my first trading card ever from that place too.
That's right.
Shout out to Brian Williams, man. Awkward high five, man. He came up with the first card and said, "Sign this 101, baby."
Nice.
No, but it was a fun presentation. I mean, Paul's being a little modest here. It's like that. A lot of it played because of Paul's doings. Paul was very persistent with communicating with them to find out what we're going to be doing, if we're going to be doing anything at all. And originally they gave us a Sunday morning at 10 a.m. time slot and we're like, first off, we ain't going to be here. Secondly, who the hell wants to come out Sunday morning? Everybody's partying Saturday night.
Exactly.
No one's going to want to come
after the VIP party. Yeah, exactly.
Of course. So we were lucky to get it out, and we got to close out Thursday night to this panel. So, my envision of what it was going to be like to begin with, it ended up being much different than what I envisioned. I just thought that it was going to be like just Paul and I doing like a monthly recap on steroids covering the history of wrestling cards kind of thing. And then we kind of go like, you know what? That's a lot for us to talk about. Let's bring some of the guys who are covering newer stuff, like the Card Foundation guys. Let's get Caleb in here because, he does a lot of indie stuff. Let's get, Chuckster in here. I mean, it turned out to be something really nice, and making friends with the guys who recorded it to repurpose it as content for the channel was also very, very cool. And go back and check it out if you guys want to watch. It was really well done. I'm looking forward to this year, man. I'm hoping we get even anything that's remotely on par with that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there was a lot of questions. So we've made some overtures towards this week of Chicago here on social media recently. We'll get to that at the end of the video here, but there's been a lot of questions that I've fielded, which is like, why should a wrestling card collector go to the National when it's such a small portion of what the show is all about? And I'm curious if you guys have any feedback on sort of to those individuals who may be questioning whether or not they want to go. I will offer this one aspect of things that I think is a new aspect that wasn't available last year. So every year, Panini puts out Rapper Redemption program where basically if you buy a box of Panini cards at the show, they have like a list of stuff and you get free packs that you wait in line for and you turn in your box topper or you open it in front of them. And they give you these free packs of cards, which contain, NASCAR, UFC, everything that they would normally do. Last year, WWE was brand new to their branding, so they weren't able to get the cards ready in time. We're starting to see probably that's going to change this year, that for both the Rapper Redemption program and potentially even the VIP party, which happens on Saturday night, they will have wrestling cards in those packs for the first time. I think we're going to get our first taste of that this Sunday with the Father's Day program that they run. Similar type of thing. Buy a box of Panini cards, get these Father's Day packs for free. I think for the first time, we'll see that in the national show for 2023. Curious for somebody who is looking to make or planning to go, or maybe sort of on the fence, like for you guys, what would you give them as advice as a wrestling collector attending this show?
Well, let me throw this out. If you're a wrestling fan, TriStar announced that they're going to have 3/4 of the Impact roster available at their
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
yeah,
normally when you go to these shows, you might get a wrestler or two. Tony knows, he travels around the world with doing these things with these guys. But you've got, like, if you're an indie fan, you're into Impact, you can get like a lot of your stuff signed there. Again, it's TriStar is huge in that world, and just to see that, even if you don't get something
cool.
signed, just to see the sort of buzz around all the celebrities, and all of a sudden some 8-foot black dude will walk by you and you're like, I wonder what team that guy plays for. It's just there's such a buzz around it, and it's like Disneyland, like when you're waiting in line and you're like, and it's sardined in for people, and then you see these guys at the end and you're like, oh wow, that's such and such, and that's Pete Rose, and that's this, and that's that. But for wrestlers in particular, there will be tables, because there were last year, and there's going to be more this year. And a lot of the work that we've done talking about the new stuff, talking about the old stuff, has got dealers to sort of, maybe I should have a little bit more wrestling on my table. So there's going to be more of that, plus the Impact stuff. So I think this is going to be, plus what you're going to announce shortly, I think this is going to be a banner year for the wrestling card community, especially at this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, just speaking to the dealers, there's a number of them that have already reached out saying that they're going to have massive wrestling card contingents at their table. RBI Crew, Ryan's been on a couple of our videos. Chad from Sports Card Junction, they'll all have wrestling at their tables. I mean, we're looking at Wax. You can buy pretty much any box you want. In the past, there have been wrestlers actually signing in the autograph pavilion. Ric Flair's done it. Hogan's done it. I'm sure Tony's represented a few people that have done it as well. So, I mean, like, there's that. Tony, any other sort of things that you've taken away as sort of a reason to go for wrestling collectors?
Well, it's more than beyond just cards. I mean, I think it's people need to understand it's more than just cards. And it's more than just in the sports world too. I mean, Jesus, we ran into a soup Nazi last year.
Right.
I mean, so you get
no question about it.
And so it's just it's always fun to kind of go and reconnect with some people I've worked with in the past like that. So that's always been a great show for that kind of stuff. But there's more to it than just cards. There's a lot of memorabilia there. There's programs, there's magazines, there's just
a lot of tickets this year. Yeah, tickets are a big thing.
Tickets, yeah. You're going to find, like, I'm sure Fanatics is going to be there, obviously, and you're going to see a lot of, like, 8x10s and photos that are signed by talent, and it's going to be a lot of stuff. It's just a lot.
Think about your uncut sheets that you got. You don't see
those
one every day. You've got several of them. There's a few places. So there's just such a variety of stuff. And for the collector, there's going to be an Ultra Pro booth that has every piece of plastic that you need to be in this hobby, every binder, every page. So just stocking up. Like up here in Toronto, it's been difficult to get binder pages, just because after COVID the prices have gone up. So I intend to stash a few and bring them back up. It's just the collector show, and there's non-sports, there's sports, and then there's memorabilia, shirts, all of it. It's just wear comfortable shoes.
Right. Wear comfortable shoes indeed. Ryan, what about you?
Well, and last year there was definitely a wrestling presence. I think this year it's going to be tenfold.
Yeah.
One of the things that I didn't see last year was wrestling in bargain boxes, like dollar boxes, $5, $10 boxes. And I think I've started seeing that at shows here locally. I think you're going to see it now, which if you don't look through bargain boxes, I mean, there's deals to be had in those boxes, and a lot of dealers. I mean, there's a couple dealers that all they have are bargain boxes. They don't have single cards and showcases. It's here's quarter, dollar, $5, $10, whatever, and they're packed from the moment they open on Wednesday to the time they close on Sunday. And so I think you're going to see we now have another year under our belt with products, both Upper Deck and Panini, plus all the stuff that came before, all the vintage. There's a lot of vintage wrestling last year.
Yeah, there was.
Really a lot of nice vintage wrestling. And I think you're definitely going to see an uptick in the amount of stuff available. The question for me will be, it sounds like we're going to get show exclusives from Panini. Is Upper Deck going to do anything with their AEW license?
Oh, great question. Yeah.
They really need to. If somebody from Upper Deck watches this video, please listen to me. You need to have some kind of wrestling presence. You have so many products on ePack, and you need to have some kind of wrestling giveaway presence. And don't stick to the core four of AEW, which is Omega, Britt Baker, Adam Page, and CM Punk. You need to branch out a little bit, okay? So please, if you Upper Deck watches this, please have some kind of show-only promotion. It'll do nothing but good for the hobby and your company. So,
and I hate to say it, I think a company like that right now, and for me, I have no qualms in saying that they dropped the ball on this license, because they have, and there's no
talk about Upper Deck.
Yes, there's no argument there to be had.
Well, they've just been quiet
have.
this year.
Yeah, so I think it's a great opportunity for them to go and make a good presence. Like, hey, we haven't forgotten about our licensing with AEW, and we're gonna share it with you guys here. And this is a great opportunity for them.
In the physical world, I'm sure they're fine with their repacks and all the stuff, Ryan, that you're into. But in the physical world, we've only had the 2023 release. We still don't have the medals. And again, we're not ripping on Upper Deck. They're a fantastic company, but this stuff is coming, so let's have it.
Yeah,
I agree.
So we have a big announcement as well, unrelated to the show, but we're going to talk about this in the context of Chicago. When we were looking at this as a group and a community, right? A community of wrestling collectors that spans Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, we thought that it was a time to represent the community in Chicago as best we could. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be hosting what we are calling the main event in Chicago for 2023. Hopefully it will become an annual thing. We're going to be hosting it on Friday night, 7/28, so July 28th. It's the Friday night there at 8 p.m. It's going to be at the Hyatt Regency in Rosemount. So I think if you guys are a wrestling collector in Chicago during the time here, come to this to this event. Be a part of the community. It is meant to be a celebration of wrestling collectors. We're probably going to do a continuation or a preview, depending on what time the slot is for the main stage here. Have some people there from the community to speak about wrestling cards, talk about their experience, share with other collectors, really do a lot of the things that all four of us have been talking about here, making this a memorable experience. Mm-hmm. And really the goal for this is to really, like Paul had said at the beginning, like-minded individuals come, be a part of it, bring your stuff, have a good time. We're going to have a lot of surprises over the next couple of weeks to announce. But this is going to be the wrestling sort of event. And it's probably going to be one of the times that we can take away as a community that wrestling cards really do deserve a presence and really do deserve an opportunity to have really something like this going on every year. So if you're kind of, like I said, if you're on the fence, trying to determine how you're going to approach this is your opportunity to do so. The way you can, it is invite only. We have limited space available. That's part of the challenges of doing a small room is we have to sort of keep it within the confines of that sort of situation. All you have to do to get an invite or get it really on the mailing list for the details of this event is go to Chicago Main Event 2023 at gmail.com. Send, that you're interested. We're going to be managing the mailing list through that account. So you will get event details and more of what's going to be announced over the next couple of weeks. Please do so. Hopefully we get a lot of people there. We're going to have a ton of fun. And like I said, a ton of surprises. So excited about that. Guys, any closing thoughts just overall?
Yeah, try and come to this thing because it's going to be special, you know. And again, we wish you could sort of unload all of it on you now, but you know, we're going to
Right.
give it to you in bits and pieces. And I think it's going to be way bigger, way better than what we did last year. Last year, we sort of planted a seed, a bunch of us sat at a table, and then this is the next logical step. Thank you, Adam, for taking the lead on a lot of this stuff. You know, it's not one guy that can organize this. You need a group. And we should also mention Shane, Sports Code Nobody. He's not with us today,
Yes.
but he's been instrumental of sort of behind the scenes and New York guy.
New York Roadshow. Yeah. The Roadshow
Yeah, New
card
York
guys
Roadshow.
are
You know,
involved as
these
well.
guys at these early stages, you know, we've been talking back and forth for several weeks now. Okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to integrate sort of some of the ideas you've had, Adam, and what Tony and I did last year? And how can we make this something special, something that the community will really enjoy, and something that could become a thing every year? That's a draw. That hey, if you're in the wrestling card hobby and you like it, you know, here's something that we do for you.
Awesome.
I'm just sitting back marveling over where we're at in 2023 compared
Right?
to when I started collecting.
This is so
Yeah,
much
well,
fun, and I think it just speaks to the growth of your channel, Tony, as well, and Paul, what you've been able to do on your site. I think like the collector set was kind of like the kickoff to like so many different awesome things that are going to be coming for wrestling cards as part of the community, and you know that's just the beginning. I mean, we have to look at it that way because I think there's just so much left to do. And if you see the way that the hobby performs as a community overall, it tends to be very much all over the place. And I think wrestling has done a really good job in sort of focusing in on really staying together and trying to drive as much as we can to bring the hobby up and bring the community up. And this is just the next logical step. So I'm really excited. I think this is going to be an epic experience.
absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah, you know, if we can replicate the feeling of that dinner last year,
Yeah.
if we can replicate that, it'll be a win. Because
Yeah,
Agreed.
it's a good measuring stick to start with. I mean, it was just the funnest thing for me last year really was the dinner. I mean, we expected more to show up, but I'm glad with what we had. It was a good foundation to build off of. And you know, large conventions are not something that's new for me. So this is not a big
Yeah.
obstacle. It's not a big obstacle for me.
This is what you do.
But-
This is your jam.
But doing all of these kind of conventions I do everywhere, nothing compares to what happened with the dinner last year for me. It was a great thing where we can have, again, like-minded people. We had great conversations, and it was beyond just talking wrestling card. We were telling story. We got to hear Ryan's amazing story on the whole Michael Jordan thing. It was freaking awesome. And so just to sit there and have some drinks and good food, it's just, it was awesome. Like I would go every year just to fly out, have dinner, and come home.
yeah,
True.
you know, the thing that was so incredible about it, and as I get older, you start to understand these things. You know, when you're younger, you got a lot of friends and you see a lot of people, and as you get older, people move away.
Yep.
Stuff happens. You fall out of touch. To retain a group of friends is incredibly hard to do. I'll just be honest with you. And I know
can't even do it here on my own street.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, but you know, as you get older, it's harder to retain friends, and it's not my personality because my personality is awesome. So I know it's not me. I just want to say, but
Technical difficulties, folks.
you had 6 people other than Tony and Chuck who had been together one time previously.
Yep.
You had 6 people that had never met each other.
Yep.
6 people that had never met each other in person, and I'm telling you that dinner could have gone on for 5 more hours.
Easy.
We had to go because Caleb was like passing out and had to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and like, come find us at the show. Like, I'm going to be trying to wear.
100%.
Yeah, I'll be trying to wear the shirts that I had made for this and for the channel, the videos we do. So I'm easy to find. Come punch me in the face or say hello, whatever you want to do. Like, this show is really to connect with people. Like's been said, like, find us. Like, we're going to be walking around. We're going to be having a good time. Like, this is going to be an awesome experience.
I believe there might be some hashtag t-shirts. Who knows?
I will say, I've been told I look pissed off most of the time. That's just my face.
Yeah.
My dad looked pissed off. My dad looks pissed off. My grandfather looks pissed off. I'm not. Come up, say hi, please. I'm the nicest guy in the world, I promise. So please come up and say hi. Yeah, I echo what Adam said. I love meeting people, and make sure you come up and say something.
I'm going to start a Twitter poll about that, and we're going to find out.
Nice.
I'm just gonna vote over and over again.
All right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
No, that's it. I was just going to
Okay.
agree that, yeah, Ryan's a nice guy.
So what we'll do then, just stay tuned to this channel. We have a lot more to come. There's probably going to be developments as they pop up around like what's going to be offered from the different vendors that are there, how we'll sort of continue to announce things around this party as well.
Sure.
Like I think overall, this channel is going to really be a great point for information even beyond the show. Make sure you like and subscribe. Continue to engage with the content. Leave comments. We're always here to sort of have these discussions, debates, arguments, whatever you want to call them. That's really why we do social media. So continue to be a part of this. The monthly recaps go up every month just to sort of detail everything that goes on over the course of a month for wrestling cards. So there's going to be those continued, but this next couple of months is going to be big. So continue to check in regularly here.
Absolutely.
Follow those socials, people. Everybody, follow everybody's socials, and you'll get the information.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thanks again for hopping on. It was wonderful to do another super show. Hopefully we get to do this more often. But it was great talking with all of you guys. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Right.